So thanks everybody for coming. I'm going to start the meeting now. This is going to be sound effects from over on this side, I think. But so thanks everybody for coming. We're going to try to have a short meeting tonight. We don't have a lot to cover, but we mostly want to give you some updates on what's going on, and then we're going to vote on the nominating committee. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. We did pass out, but over here on the table, we have the minutes from the prior meeting. Does everybody have a copy of those? Okay. So I'm going to, does anybody need a moment to look over the minutes, or does anybody have any amendments or anything you should be aware of? Okay, so I'm going to have a vote to approve the minutes from the last meeting. If you approve of the last meeting's minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Anybody opposed? Great. Okay, thank you. So we're going to start with the principal's report. So Mrs. ready.
I was just looking, like I said last time, the proposal for the board
Bridget,
been approved.
would you mind standing in front of the camera just because we're putting the videos on Facebook? So thank you.
That the level 4 thing had been approved by the leadership team, so we're ready to go with that. So we're gonna we'll be having an orientation and information session for the rising 3rd graders. I think it's in April. The date escapes me at the moment, but there'll be information out about that. So that was good. Otherwise, I think there's nothing really new going on. The News You Choose, if you've noticed, we've switched from Keep in Touch to News You Choose. So the format of the little thing. So if you're not getting it, you need to go to the Fairfax County website and sign up. And it's going out every Thursday, about 4:30. So it's a better format. It looks good on your smartphone or your tablet. It's easier for us to put together with pictures and things like that. So that's really good. So the Drama Club will be presenting their play next Thursday. So
We have a restaurant night next Thursday.
Exactly.
So I was kind of hoping maybe parents would
Go
feel
to-
in celebratory mood.
there you go. Yes.
And go
Yeah.
out to
eat and then come to the Drama Club.
Yeah, either before or out. Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you.
So that's all I have.
Any
All right.
questions for She's like our new Secretary of State. Okay. Sorry, I should have said that.
You're being recorded.
Okay, so thanks everybody for coming. We wanted to thank the food came from Silver Diner, which is so awesome. You know, we just call them and they're like, "What can we give you?" So if you like the food, go to Silver Diner. So we never do. I never think of it.
We still go on Tuesday night sometimes for kids' night.
They have a great menu.
Madness,
Yeah,
but it's
so
Libby loves it. Yeah.
yeah. Now I'm Kelly and Conley, but they did donate it. We had a very successful Donuts with Dads on Friday morning, so thanks to Jessica for organizing. Were there a lot of people?
There were. It was a hit.
Yeah. Yeah, we had great pictures. So that was, we were so happy about that. And before that, we had the Wildcat Dance, and before that, we had movie night. So we've had kind of a lot of activities all in a row. We're going to be thinking about that for next year. Our next activity coming up is restaurant night, as we were just saying, which is at Uno's Pizzeria over off of Gallows Road over there. So we're hoping they give you 20% of the order. We had Chipotle restaurant night in February, which was amazing. We made, I think, over $600.
$615.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
which is
Crowded that night. Yeah.
yeah. So.
Well, and I think a lot of teachers and all went by, I did, picked it up and took it.
Yeah, and they had a glitch, a power outage at the
Yeah, in the
beginning.
very beginning, but it's got
but it
smoothed
was
out.
so.
Oh, and if you give teachers Chipotle gift cards for Christmas and other things,
That's
then
not a
they-
bad
then they
idea.
can-
We actually
keep
did.
it in the family.
We gave Mr. Dallas a Chipotle gift card for Christmas. I
Yeah.
was not thinking that far.
I've done it too, but that's a good cycle.
Yeah. Thanks to Erin also, who's arranged all of our restaurant nights, and I challenged her at the beginning of the year. I said, let's do one a month because it's such a you know, relatively painless way, well, except for painless for everybody but you. But, and we have had one every month. April's will be at Silver Diner.
Yes.
And then we'll figure out something for May, maybe
We're
do-
gonna shoot to do
Has
two.
there ever been a summer restaurant night? My husband thinks we should do Dogfish Head in Falls Church. Apparently it's very generous.
Well, I wanted to double up in May or June and do like a regular restaurant and then a night at like Sweet Frog or something for the kids toward the end of the year.
They did did Sweet Frog last year, so it's been a great
Sweet Frog at Loman's is closed.
Oh, you're kidding me!
It's not there anymore. I know, it's shocking. I went there specifically.
I would be
for
so
that
upset.
with
I'm
the
glad
kids.
at least you told me before I went over there.
It's very disappointing. I know.
Wow.
Sweet Frog Club?
The ones in
Loman's
Loman's.
Grant on Graham Road there.
Yeah, the one next to the.
I'm surprised. It was always.
I was gonna say it was always busy.
That shopping center has been bought.
Oh.
Completely.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what
They're putting in some new mixed-use development thing.
Interesting.
That's why that phone.
Community news.
Yeah, no, but that's a good. Maybe they'll put in some awesome restaurants so we can have a restaurant night. And for Uno's, we are going to have to bring like a ticket, which we'll distribute in the Thursday folders. But they said you can also show the ticket on your phone, and they'll just staple one on. So that's great. It's nice that they're so flexible about that because I am never going to remember to bring the ticket.
I might be there handed them out.
Well, but we have to be careful about. You can't solicit. I mean, because at Chipotle, I was really tempted to be like,
I know.
you know, say you're with Woodburn, but you can't. You have to. They say specifically you should not do that. So, the upcoming activities, we have kindergarten orientation on the 17th. I'm not going to be there, but I think maybe Erin
Okay.
and Neely are going to be there.
This is really just kind of an introduction and a few minutes to say, hey, come
I
on.
remember. Wasn't that long ago.
We had scheduled bingo night for the 31st, and I kind of freaked out and I said I can't do bingo night by the 31st, but we wanted to keep it because it was so fun last year. So we, and also Mrs. Lingerfeld, who did the bingo calling for us last year, wasn't able to make it because it was the same day as the 4th and 6th grade field trips. So it was a good I mean, I think overall it was a good thing, except now and because April is like spring break and everything, so we moved it into May 8th. It's going to be the new bingo night. So we're seeking a coordinator for the event or donations. You know, last year they had like a big raffle, and they had, I think it was like lunch with one of you, right? Lunch with the principal or lunch with the vice principal, lunch with the Mr. Copley or something.
Right.
So we did.
Mr. Shirley, yeah.
Mr. Shirley, yeah.
all the teachers.
So we'll hit them all up for that kind of thing. So and then we had a raffle and then we had the bingo. So we're gonna do it. We just have a little bit more time to plan now.
Spring maybe then.
Yeah, except that now it pushes into the fun run, which is our kind of last big activity. And I know you guys talked today.
Yeah, we did chat about it.
But we haven't.
Feeling a little overwhelmed at the moment about it, but.
So we'll wish for better weather, right?
Yeah.
Right. So yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun, but it was,
Yeah. And then Laura Wright, who does our enrichment program, she wasn't here tonight, but she did send out a survey for enrichment, and she wanted me to encourage everybody to participate. She's getting some good response, but she'd like even more if she can. And I think you helped, Gonzalo helped translate the survey for us, so we really appreciate your assistance with that.
It's also online, so I think we can share it on Facebook.
It is online,
In
and
Notion.
it was the link was in the email that went out this morning, which was great.
It's very easy. It takes.
The Survey Monkey, yeah.
2 minutes.
So, the enrichment is it's really beloved by the kids who do. We just want to include as much of a broad spectrum as we can of price points and activities and when they take place and everything. So Laura puts a lot of work into the enrichment program. I think that's all I have for the upcoming calendar. Does anybody have anything else? We had a parent coffee at the Heritage Building. I had so much stuff to bring to the parent coffee, and it got canceled on Tuesday morning because of the snow, but it's been rescheduled for March 28th, so we're looking forward to it. It's on, yeah, it's like gonna be, it's from 9:30 to like 10:30, although they start late. And then, there's gonna be a talk on internet safety, so Robin Fernandez. So, okay, anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, so John, I'm gonna turn it over to you for the treasurer's report.
I put these out late, so
I'll pass them out for you.
nice. Take one for myself, and you can hold the rest. It's very tiny. Sorry. But I missed the last meeting with one of these. And the last one we had done was October. So I wanted to provide you the last 5 months of transactions for the PTA. So that's kind of why it's so small. So a couple of things I wanted to highlight that kind of impacting our bottom line at the moment. We have not done very well with our direct donations this year. That's the second line down. All right, so first, in case you haven't been here before, the top section is the money we get in. So that's our income. The bottom section is the money we're sending out, the expenses. And the columns represent the various months. And at the very end, we have our budget and our variance from the budget. Now, the budget is full year, and we're not at the end of the year. But I haven't provided a prorated amount. But you can kind of judge, based on where we are most of the way through the year, how we're going to end up. So the first two items under receipts are membership dues and direct donations. We are only about a little over halfway to our membership goal this year. So based on where we were last year, we have fewer members. Our direct donation campaign did not do quite as well as we would have liked this year. We've got $625 versus a budget of $3,000. So I don't know if there's, depending on where we are and what we want to do, we could maybe try to do something by the end of the year to pick that up. And also, let's see, restaurant night is doing pretty well. We still have, several months left, and there's a $600 check to deposit there. Spiritware is slightly under where we budgeted for the year, by about $300. Fall movie night also fell a little bit short by $300. And let's see, but gingerbread houses, huge success.
That's because I let everybody come.
Basically said, anybody come, the cafeteria was completely full, and that made $400. Well, actually made $700, twice as much as we budgeted, so huge hit there. The other thing going gangbusters for us at the moment is the retail. Amazon is doing pretty well for us, Target, iGive.
Oh, wow.
We get, that's well over budget at the moment. I need to go back and figure out where all that money is coming from.
But some of that probably came in from last year too. Right?
You're right. Yes, a little bit of that. I think it was one of the programs ended and sent us a big check beginning of the summer. And then the other thing of note in the receipts is these, let's see, strings camp. So we ended up paying for most of last year with this year's budget. And I didn't quite realize that when we made the budget. So we're going to be significantly over budget for a strings camp, provided there is another strings camp. And then on the expense side, we are, we're not over in any line item, which is great. You might remember the last fall, we voted to add the PTA pet projects. It's about halfway down on the expenses. we decided we would budget $6,000 for the cameras. And we bought 11, 13 cameras for teachers for a total of $3,500, and I think we decided we would try to raise the rest. But as I noted before, we haven't really raised all that much. So if we want to buy new cameras, we'll have to strongly consider where that money's going to come. And then we have started to pay for field trips. You know, we still have $6,000 left in the budget for that, but I can assure you that all the big field trips are coming up, and that money will be spent by the end of the year. I guess the big question is, so the one place that we haven't really spent and aren't committed to spending is the Cultural Arts Assembly. We have a few more dollars there for reimbursement, but that would still leave us with about $3,800 in that line item. Usually it's hard to do those things towards the end of the year. People get booked up, but if we wanted to do something there, we've got the money, in the budget to do it. But considering we're kind of under in a lot of our receipts, we want to carefully consider what we want to do. Are there any questions, concerns, or clarifications?
So we spent not as much as we allocated for teacher classroom fund. I'm sorry if we missed that.
Correct.
But
so,
you might still get some receipts in, do you think, or?
I think yes, we might get a couple more, I would think.
So I have a question. So,
Yep.
all right, accounting is not my thing, so just bear with me. But if I'm struggling, then maybe I'm not alone. So if the top part is income and the bottom part is expenses.
Yep.
Like if I look in the budgeted column, and I approved the budget too, so this is not a criticism, I'm just trying to understand. The number of income is 16,000 and change, and the number of expenses is 31,000 and change. So were we anticipating that we would be pulling from savings to cover
Yes.
expenses from the year by about 14,000?
15,000.
Is that right? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So we've been carrying a significant balance, significant for our school, of around $20,000 for the past couple of years, and I think the feeling around the PTA was that we wanted to put that money to work. I think that's why we approved the bed project and even without that, we were still $9,000 in red
But,
for the year.
but what makes sense is the actuals, right? Because one thing is the budget in
Correct.
terms of receipts and expenses, but what matters is actually how much
Yeah.
what the actuals are for both. Because you could, depending on how big of a hole you want to have,
Absolutely.
add or subtract from either top or bottom.
Yep, so year to date, you'll see, it's the third column from the right. We are $4,800 in the red for the year.
So it's a little hard because there are some things in the top that haven't, that will be future income that just haven't happened yet, but they will. So the income
Correct.
number will go up after fund run and after all that.
Yep.
So how are we in terms of being on target with income raising? I feel like I need to see like a chart of income
Right.
earning compared to last year.
Well, we also have some expenses that need to hit that, hit the receipts line as well. So it's a little bit of funny math, but if we have expenses for box tops, we put the expense in the, in the top section. We don't have an expense section for box tops. But, so then according to the budget, we're expected to pull in another $7,700, and given our shortfall in direct donations, and the hit that we took in the Strings Camp, and I would be very surprised if our after-school academy actually earned $300. We might be a little bit in the red there as well. So, you know, I'd say we're looking at being below budget for the income, probably by, you know, $1,000 to $3,000.
Okay. That helps.
But if it carries out, the plan is for this year for it to be a deficit of 15,000, basically,
Yeah, 14 or 15, but
Yes.
looks like we're gonna,
with
that'll be more.
21 and a half in savings.
Correct.
So John, are you saying we'll be more like 18 instead of 15
Well, no, because I
in
mean,
the negative?
well, we haven't spent the other 2,500 for the classroom cameras. So that would come off the 15, that would bring us down to 12.5. You know, we probably won't get all of the classroom funds, another 500, so it would bring us down to, you know, a deficit of 12. And, I mean, the rest is pretty much planned. So 12 plus 1 to 2,000 that we're not gonna get on, that we don't, doesn't look like we're gonna get on receipts.
I don't know how it works. Do we, as the PTA, do we ever vote to amend a budget midway through the year based on a variation in membership or other income?
We
That's what we
did
did.
vote to amend the budget already.
Yeah.
That's how we got the pet projects.
Okay, so we can, okay. So do you think that we need to make adjustments based on where we are now? Or are we better in a wait and see mode?
It doesn't seem like the variances that we're looking at right now, but we still have the rest of the year to go. There's certain areas you highlighted that we know might come in above or below. I don't know that, they don't seem to be significant enough to warrant totally revising the budget, other than keeping them in mind. It's definitely being focused on. And I think what's throwing you off is, here's a budget, this is the first time I've seen it as well, that is $15,000 in the red. But it sounds like a decision was made to do that, to
Yeah, yeah.
use this
And
money that's just sitting around, so that makes sense.
Right.
And it sounds like some of these expenses may be discretionary at this point. We can sort of, sounds like if we wanted to not move forward with some of them, we could, but I don't know, that might be overspeaking.
Like assemblies, I mean, the rest of the assemblies budget, the cultural arts budget, I don't have any plans for that. I tried to call to see if we could get a dance troupe here, and I made a bunch of calls and I couldn't do anything. You know, we had wanted to do another assembly in the spring, but we certainly don't have anything planned.
So that's like $5,000 budget line that we haven't, we've used 800 of. So, yeah. Well, we can-
There's
It seems
also
reasonable.
the spring marketplace. Isn't, I gave you money for the spring.
Yes. So, I mean, it's not like we're not gonna have any more income coming in. I mean, I do expect that we will get some more money coming in. And we will, you know, we do have $3,800 not spent from the cultural assemblies.
There's this
So that
family
would help.
fun night events.
Yeah, I just.
Oh, okay, right.
I'm still sitting on the receipts. It will be, it's about $500 between the family fun events and the teacher appreciation events.
So that's,
There's another 1,000.
there's another
Yeah.
1,000.
We still have teacher appreciation
We
week,
still have
but that
teacher-
probably won't
Be,
$1,000.
yeah.
So, out of curiosity, it seems like our biggest source of income is the retail piece, or like the biggest positive gain. How much of that do you happen to know off the top of your head came from last year? Can you mention something like that?
I would have to look at
So Target does one too?
Oh, yeah, that
Target
would have been a
stops.
grant from last
Okay,
year.
Target stuff.
it, yes.
So it's just Amazon right now and I give.
And
In
Giant.
the supermarket.
In the supermarket.
Harris Teeter too.
Yeah, but we only have, my husband monitors Harris Teeter, we only have like 4 people who have a phone number registered with Harris Teeter. There's an elementary school near where my in-laws live that get like $800 a month from Harris Teeter because it happens to be right there and everybody's signed up, but we just don't have, I go to Giant, but Safeway doesn't give points anymore.
Is there even a
So-
Harris Teeter around here?
Over by the Dunmore Metro Station.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or Columbia Pike.
And
Like-
Columbia Pike, yeah.
There's like 10 closer. So, I mean, Amazon could be people shop on Amazon all the time.
Yes.
There's a program there called iSmile.
Yep.
They give 0.5% of your purchase to the nonprofit of your choosing.
No,
0.25?
No, 2.5%.
2.5.
It's very low. Today they're doubling it. It's 5% if anybody has something
I thought they were
sitting in your shopping
That
cart.
was 10 times as much today. That's why I said 0.5.
Oh, today it's 5%.
Right.
I
And
think
they said
it's
that was
usually
10 times
2.5.
as much.
Oh, it's usually
So I think it's usually
0.5%.
0.5%.
Okay.
But still, imagine 0.5% of everything that you bought on Amazon coming to the school.
Gotta make
That
sure
would-
everybody's signed up before Christmas and the
Right.
holidays.
Yeah.
So we could,
Or Thanksgiving.
there's a lot of places for free money out there. If we could just get a little bit more participation in some of these programs, we could have a fairly steady flow of income. So maybe we need some more communication.
Yeah, I mean, it goes,
Tell
that,
your
that's,
friends.
retail stuff goes out at the bottom of every Wildcat Weekly.
Right.
But my husband's always like, why aren't you putting that at the top of every email? But it's kind of, I mean, it's like, if you don't shop at Harris Teeter, we're not saying go
Right.
that way. I mean, that's the worst traffic in Washington DC some days, you know, to go that way. So don't, you know, but everybody should at least register their number in case you happen to go to Harris Teeter.
Right.
And the same thing for Giant.
Do we have reminders on our Facebook page for that? Like that might be.
I haven't sent out one recently.
Not one recently, but it's
Yeah.
been.
Or even like,
I sent something today, I put something today on Facebook to, if you have anything in your shopping cart, to buy through Amazon Smile today.
Do we have like
So
a
even-
pin
and even-
post or something we could do like at the top, that it just sits there?
yeah, like a banner or something.
Yeah, they do those pin
Banner
posts
ad.
at the top of the page.
We can look into that.
And also like grandparents, also just like grandparents for
Yeah.
Giant.
Yeah.
And I always always hit up my in-laws and my parents for.
I wonder if it would make sense, because I'm imagining the biggest impediment is actually getting people to sit down and actually set up their account. I mean, I did it and it didn't take that long, but I wonder if when we did events, we had somebody dedicated to, let me help you on your phone. Set up your Amazon account, so people can go and again from now on. You just, because now whenever I log in, it pops out the reminder. Do you want to buy this through your
Smile, yeah.
Smile? And then I'm like, oh, that's right. Then I just click and just go through it again. But
Right.
if we did that and just made it, because then when people pop up, it'll give it to you, and then that's probably the biggest impediment.
It's a great idea.
So like at the beginning of every event, just have somebody with me. Let me help you set this up in the next 64 seconds.
I think that's a good idea.
I need that now.
And that's something, one thing, I
There you
mean,
go.
when we had back to school night last year, it was like me and Nilima, that when John, you know, I mean, John was still treasurer, but, you know, so we didn't have, I mean, with next year at back to school night, we wanna have a table with, and even at kindergarten orientation, I thought, let's ask people, join the PTA at kindergarten orientation and everything, but it does take volunteer, you know, it
Yep,
takes
yep, yep, yep,
volunteers,
yep.
and it's, can be hard sometimes, but we definitely want it back to school night to be registering people for PTA, and we can do shoppers rewards, we can do T-shirt sales then, you know, but, and, which we didn't last year, so.
So we're going to create a list this year, right? Send it out and try to get people signed up. It was,
Well, yeah,
it was a
no,
tough year last year. Everybody left,
Right.
except for me, and all new people came in, and people who had been doing it for a while, and knew exactly what to do and how to do everything. And then, so this happens every couple of years.
Sure.
I mean, everybody who put their Giant card number down on a piece of paper and sent it to the school, I personally entered their Giant card number, but I mean, you know, you never, it would be nicer if people would do that kind of thing themselves. And it was a little bit on autopilot last year because Maureen has a form that she put in, but the form actually has the wrong Harris Teeter number on it, and it was kind of, she just sort of recycles the form, but we need to revise that form to, you know, to maybe get people to be a little bit more functional in how they use
Yeah,
it.
yeah, I was actually thinking more like towards next year. Like I don't know, I only got started now, but so I don't know what the big events are. But like graduation or like first assembly of the year or something, if we aim for those, to set up people between now and like Christmas time when people buy just, I'm assuming that's the largest one, or like I'm assuming Amazon has like a back to school sale at the end of the summer, right? I mean, I have no idea. I've never done it.
Yeah. I mean, that was another thing. You know, I mean, I have been contacted by at least 17 different companies who want us to sell school supplies to families, which is another way to kind of reach out at the end of the year to say, like, you can order your school supplies from us, and you can do that. But I talked to Bridget about it. I talked to a lot of families about it, and the consensus was that there just wasn't that much interest among Woodburn families in buying school supplies in advance. Is that something we used to make money off of? But if it's going to be like 15 families, I don't know. You know, I just can't.
Yeah.
I can't
I don't
coordinate
know that
it.
we made a whole lot off of it. It was more of a convenience.
It's more of a convenience. So, like, one thing we had talked about was we could pre-order some school supplies packs and sell those at back to school night too, because that way anybody who doesn't have their supplies can like pick them up and just deliver them straight to the classroom. But that's another thing we kind of have to make a decision about, because we'd be investing PTA money, planning on getting it back when we sell the school supplies. So.
But how much would you make? I guess that's the question.
It's in
What's
it's in the
risk?
ranges of hundreds of dollars. I mean, you know, the big money things that people, you know, when PTAs make a lot of money, it's like auctions. I'm
Yep.
thinking about like the daycare, the agency that Jessica and I work at. Like, their big money makers are they do a huge auction, which brings in like thousands and thousands of dollars. But it's so much effort, we don't do the auction
Yeah.
anymore. And then, but I think bingo night is another potentially big source of income, because we do a raffle and then the buying of the bingo cards. Because it's little money that we're putting out, and, you know, potentially big income. But I'd say that the biggest ticket way to make money for PTA is doing something like an auction, where you get donations and then you sell them.
And do we do, like, if we have sort of like the 1 or 2 marquee events, do we do PTA registration of those events as well?
No, because we generally, we limited membership to the first couple of meetings. I think we sort of said, sign up for the PTA, anybody can come to the first meeting, and then we made it like anybody can come up to the second meeting. And then at some point you kind of end membership and say, presumably like only PTA members would be invited to a PTA meeting. But I never say that, and I'm just so happy you're all here. Like, I'm not checking PTA membership, you know what I mean? Like, everybody's invited.
Yeah, I think
So.
Laura
Is that membership
Mitchell-
dues? Membership dues
Yeah,
PTA?
I think Laura Mitchell last year she did a lot of signing people up at events, but she had committed herself to be at every single event and be out pushing the membership,
Sure.
which is why it was up so high. So if anybody wants to do that.
Well, I came to Muffins for Moms and was recruiting people, but the thing is, we had a cutoff for membership. We ended it, like, we would still take memberships and someone, but the drive was effectively over.
But that's a necessity, because we have to submit our membership to the state, right?
Yep.
So the reason why you have to have a cutoff is because at some point, in order to maintain your PTA status, you have to notify Virginia State PTA to tell them how many members you have, and you have to pay your dues. So that's the function of cutting that off.
I didn't realize it wasn't a rolling membership, like, oh, I forgot to sign up, I want to be part of it, and
Well,
here's
I mean,
my
you still
dues.
can. I mean, and
You
they have
can.
other deadlines.
I mean,
So,
you could submit something, I'm assuming, to Virginia, but there's nothing preventing you from doing a rolling, or maybe 1 or 2 events throughout
I mean,
the
all the
year.
memberships, I think, this year would expire next October. So you wouldn't get your full 12 months out of it, but you can still accept memberships, and then they have other deadlines for submitting your dues to the national, state, and local PTAs. But once a quarter.
I'm more than willing to do year-round. I just was following the old system, but I think it's a good idea to keep it open.
I mean, it essentially becomes a donation at this point if you do join the PTA.
Well, I mean, if you join at this point, then we do count you as a member, put you on the rolls, and then submit some of those dues to the appropriate.
There's
entities.
still events,
But-
like if we have another
Yeah.
movie night, if you join us in January, you're getting $1 off, or, you know, some kind of little bit of discount down here, there.
So, so like the big, on the list of where we have a variance from the budget, like
Yep.
it seems like the big ticket items are direct donations,
Mhm.
restaurant nights, and then strings camp. And what did you say about strings camp? Is that not?
We ended up paying for most of Strings Camp, last year's Strings Camp in this year's budget.
But that was, I mean, people paid to go to Strings Camp.
Yes, so we
It
made
should
a
have
ton
been
of money
a wash.
last year.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, if you
Should have
combined the
been
2 years, it would not
Just
be
a-
a big deal.
You just reconciling.
Because it should have been pretty much just a pass-through.
Right,
So we shouldn't be worried about that?
No.
no, I wouldn't be worried.
No.
Okay.
So
So,
she is gonna do it again, but her budget is set up for having to have a certain number of kids to
Correct.
cover the cost of,
yeah.
you know, the
Right, it's
teachers
not,
and
it does
that.
not lose money for us.
No.
I just get nervous when I see numbers
Mhm.
in brackets.
In brackets. Especially
But,
big numbers.
Do we have more restaurant nights
We
coming
have
up?
one every month, and there's
So-
the $600 check from
yeah.
Chipotle is not in that tally,
Yeah,
so it's really 800.
that-
We'll probably
so
get 300
The
or
restaurant
400
night
from
number
Silver
is
Dollar.
not our
Yeah.
concern.
No.
And then the last item is just the direct donations, which seems low by a lot, and what I'm wondering is, should we have another, so the last one came at Christmas, which I think is a hard time of year for people to be, allocating money.
And we didn't do anything more than a letter. That came, I
We
mean,
should think
again, that
about
came
that.
at the same time, we had a movie night, we had a gingerbread
Yeah.
event, so we had all of that. What I was hoping was we could push for a fun run, but we can, because the way Tara did it last year was you, could donate through your kid.
Yeah, I just reached out, in fact, to them today to see, can we roll the website that we had last year? Because we had a website, and every single student had their own web page. They could connect to their own Facebook accounts with QR codes. It had the potential to be a huge moneymaker, but it didn't get, I tried desperately to promote it by myself. We got donations as well, and we had some, vendors who donated, and we had a ton of gift cards and things, and we had tons of food even on the day. We had a lot, but, we brought in a few $1,000s for that event, so, which I don't see on the thing anyway, reported what I brought in, because I looked at it and I think it was 2,500 and something when I looked at the webpage.
Well, there were some expenses.
There were some expenses, so it was $395 to set up the website initially, and then there was 10% on the receipts, the donations that were received online, and a credit card fee of 3% or something.
So, they deposited into our account almost $1,400. And then we
Okay.
also had some money, cash donations that we got from kids. That's where we got our budget of this year of $1,500.
Okay.
We can do an advertising push, we can say, all of this money is going toward your kids' field trips, your kids' school tech, your kids'
Yeah.
activities, everything.
And that's what we advertised on the website. We advertised it as if it was beyond just the fun run, to really just show what the PTA does and where all the money's going, so that people could see that and be thinking of that from a big picture perspective. And then for the sponsors, we put their logos up, and we had a gold level and bronze level and silver level, and we're asking for $500, $250, from these vendors.
Do we ever state in promoting that event, as a target goal, we're looking to raise this much money? PTA is looking to raise much, I'm just.
For that event, we had one of those bar things that, you
Okay,
could see the
Thermometer.
money.
so we do.
And it
that.
was 10,000 because I was being enthusiastic. Well, because I saw Mason Crest had a $25,000 goal. So I thought if every student gave $50, brought in $50, what was the potential? And potential could have been huge. So I don't think we're tapping, I don't think we're doing it enough, tapping enough, so. But, that also might be something that you move to a different part of the year and have that page up for the whole year as a source so that you can see that money coming in, and as the different events, you could have multiple links all from that, and so all these different events, the money could be tallying up and looking like, oh my God, we're nearly there, we're nearly there. So that as you're getting later in the year, people might push harder to reach that goal.
That would mean Jessica and I would have to turn in our receipts.
I just wanted to throw something out that I had read about online too. It was similar to Fun Run, and it was conducted. This is like I was reading the national PTAs and how they fundraise,
Yeah.
and it was tied to national. It was Dr. Seuss's birthday and reading
Yep.
week. And basically, they were getting kids to get, pledges for like, if I read 5 books,
Yeah.
you'll give me this much money. It was a similar idea to the Fun
It's
Run.
a similar company that.
And it promoted
yeah.
reading, so it's really kind of a win-win
Yep.
all the way around. But just for future years, that might be.
Yeah, because a lot of people use those sites for multiple things.
Yeah. I think Mrs. Chapin and I had talked in the summer about a readathon, but we really wanted there to be an outdoor act. I mean, we didn't want to, because I had somewhere in my notes, I think from Terry, saying like you could substitute the Fun Run with a readathon or something, but I think we thought we really wanted there to be like an active,
Fitness
fitness thing.
Yeah.
Do we want to pursue, this is the one other thing, is if we're low on direct donations, do we want to pursue like, reaching out to get like corporate donations or sponsors or, I don't know,
For the
for the PTA, not for the Fun Run,
Oh.
but for, we had, I don't know who you can approach, can you go to Exxon or whatever and say, would you be willing to donate, $500 to the PTA? I mean, do we ever do things like that? Have we ever done anything like
We've
that?
had, someone had compiled a list of companies and that provided grants. Yep.
I'd be willing to make phone calls. I look at that number over $2,000 and I think like, maybe if you had a couple of people making phone calls targeting 10 to 15 companies, that might be taken care of in a matter of a month. So like, it's not, I would be willing to do that too, so.
Well, I'll see if Laura will send me the list.
Okay, sounds good.
Here's one more question about budget.
Yeah.
Sorry, just in general, what's the calendar year that we're going through, the fiscal year?
July 1st to June 30th.
July 1st to June 30th. And then so the actual is, the budget's for the full year, it's not,
Correct.
yeah, so
For 12
I think that's
months.
another part of the variance, just to let, so people are tuning into that. Part of that is just that we still have several months to go, and that's
Right.
why some of it, okay,
Yeah.
we're down, we expected to be higher with direct donations at this point, but some of it is just the income hasn't come in yet.
Would it be possible to add a column to this that would say like, if, at least that would identify, I'm making work for you, but that would identify funds that are potentially still coming in, because then that would be helpful.
I mean, I've done that type of thing in the past. I mean, I'll see what, yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
It could just be
It's a
footnote
little
too.
far, I don't know an easy way to do it, but.
well, I mean, it's one of those things where it's, when is the event? Has the event happened yet? How does this compare to, where we are based on what has happened
Right.
today? I mean, that does give you a better idea.
You made this very understandable, by the way.
We'll get
There's
it.
a lot of it.
It's only going to get better.
Yeah. Thanks, John. Thank you. We don't have any committee reports. The last thing we wanted to do was vote on the nominating committee. So at this meeting, we vote to elect our nominating committee, which is 3 people. Christiane is going to be on the nominating committee. Laura Wright, who is home with her daughter tonight, and Katie Brophy, who helped us with our movie night, is gonna. Do I just ask everybody if that's okay? Do you want to make a speech here? I was on the nominating committee last year, and we sent out flyers asking. I mean, last year was kind of a crappy time. I mean, that's how I'm standing here today, because it was. I mean, the nominating literally was crickets, because we would send out flyers, and then at some point Sharon said, just email everybody you know and see if they're willing to be on the PTA board. And so, but I think you guys will have less of a challenge, so that's our 3 officers from the nominating committee. They'll be putting in flyers. They'll do some outreach for us to make sure that there isn't somebody waiting in the wings who wants to run for the offices that are currently sort of occupied for another year.
And the one thing we know is that John has had 2 years as treasurer, and so he cannot be in this position again, so we'll be looking for another treasurer. So please keep your feelers out, and we would be, very interested in hearing people's ideas and having anybody come forward.
So, can I just ask for a voice vote? So if all those in favor of electing Christiane DeYoung, Laura Wright, and Catherine Brophy, Katie Brophy to the nominating committee, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed to that? Thank you very much. Okay, and then I did my announcements, so are there any other things? It's been a good discussion about, I mean, I knew we were a little under on budget, and everything we did was really hard work, so every dollar that came in, I just, feel like we worked hard for it, so. But it's good to see the numbers and think about, how to make it better, so. All
Well,
right.
the good news is the number that says actual year-to-date raised is 8,500, so that's something to be happy about. We just want that number to grow, that's all.
Yeah.
So.
There's more food. These were donations from the Silver Diner again, so please take some food. Come get some food. Yeah.
And also please
So-
sign in if you haven't
And
already
please
signed
sign
in.
in if you haven't already signed in.
We need a
so.
record of at least 10 members being present, so please do that for us. Well, we took a vote for the nomination committee, so.
Hi, thank you, John.
Can you please?
Yes, see you again.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
Here for the association several years, a long time ago. Oh, I don't do that anymore.
I did it, I put my time in.
That's all you want, is for them to get involved.
Yeah.
But I was single and
My wife,
no kids. I'm still single, but.